Alright, now we did the drawing and now we're going to do the actual image part of it, which is in the Scratch project that was actually dots that you drew, and in this case it's the same thing again. So if you have a look at that, you'll notice it's slightly off center. I'll come back to that, but this is what we're heading for, and the way we do it is like this. This is the script. Now it's up the top hasn't changed at all. It's exactly the same. Nothing changes till you get down to around about here, and this is where the scripts change. So little things you need to notice. First of all, down here you need an image. There's the backdrop. There's the dot. It's 50 by 50 and it's white. Sits there. So all your numbers have got to match, because what's happening is that the dots get smaller, and the way that happens is in here we now have a draw image that's a little bit more involved than your standard draw image. There are 4 sets of numbers that define different parts of how the image is, where it is, which part of the image it might be, how big it is, where you want to put it, and what size you want it to be. So you can do all sorts of fancy things with images, and you feel free to go away and play with that. Go get an image and play with those numbers and watch what happens. All sorts of wonderful things. Up here the radius again, same thing. 2 variables, x size, y size, and those are what are changed. Now down here is the if statement, and it will change the size of the dot if it's less than 2 by 5, if it's more than 2 by 10. So this, and the other thing I haven't mentioned before is this truncation here as well. So I may have already mentioned that, just to notice that those are now one statement if you haven't spotted that before. Okay, so over here when you run it, it's slightly off center, and that's the reason for that is because of how the image itself is read and located. So the point of reference here is that it picks up the image and its reference is up in this corner here. So if you wanted to get clever, you could probably start playing with these numbers in here, or perhaps here somewhere, so that that image actually, when it's displayed, just translates ever so slightly to a different spot, so it's kind of displayed center. At the moment it's displayed from there, and that's what makes it look a little bit off center. Alright, so I'll let you play with that. Okay, now when we move to the other one, which is this, alright, there's a couple of extra bits that happen. Let me just show you what happens here. Okay, so it's the same result except the colors come into it now. It's a different image. It's the previous one you copy and paste 5 times in a row and you wind up with this. So it's now 250 by 50 with the 5 colors, and they've got to be set exactly, because it's going to pick up that bit of the image, then that bit, then that bit, then that bit, then that bit. And for those of you who are slightly thinking ahead, this is the kind of a pretty basic introduction to how animation works. So if you can try and imagine that these are perhaps, I don't know, bats flying for example, and the wings are in different positions, and you want to make it animate, well, you can be picking up different bits of it. It's called a sprite sheet, the technical term, and it picks up different bits of the sprite sheet to make it look animated. For this project it just picks up different colors and puts them in a different spot. Alright, and that's how you get this. So back over here, now in the previous one we had x size, y size, and we changed the size. In this one we've still got x, y, y size, but we need another variable, and that variable we're going to call x dot. And what happens with x dot is this: you set the x dot to 0, and here is the start point of the dot's image. You want to start it up in that top corner there and pick that bit up. So that's what this does. It picks up 50-50 of the 50 by 250 image, alright, and plonks it This is how big it is, this is where it puts it, and that's the size of it. So lots of things happening here. It then goes through its process. 36 dots comes down here, the radius comes back, and the dot moves up a position. So what happens is it starts here at 50. So that's why you change this here for here. It picks up a different part of the image. Same setup here as far as the size is concerned. Different image obviously, and the rest of it is exactly the same. Radius, all that stuff. So I presume what you're doing is you've taken one of these, saved it under new name, and just changed the code. I wouldn't code everything from scratch. So that's what we get. And if you want to start playing with positioning this so it sits dead center, you go for it.